If your SaaS roadmap is just a backlog of tasks, then you're not scaling, you're guessing. Founders today are starting to treat marketing like it's just a to-do list, but they're missing the bigger play, and that's sequencing growth opportunities. What happens when you launch before you nail down your positioning? What happens when you scale before you segment your audience? You can just burn cash and stall momentum when you don't have a set game plan written down that anybody can come into your organization with no knowledge of what you do and say, okay, this is the next step. Sticking to the plan will unlock the growth that you're currently seeking. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to architect a marketing roadmap that compounds relentlessly, not just reacts to the market like I'm sure most of yours are set up to do. This is for the founders who want predictable pipeline, not just a flashy funnel. If you take any actionable insights from this video, please go ahead and give me a like and subscribe. We are a growing channel and I would definitely appreciate that. Moving on, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Morgan Von Druent, and I've spent the last 10 years helping early stage startups all the way to enterprise giants like Atlassian and Experian generate a cumulative $1.3 billion in marketing sourced revenue. My primary goal for making these videos is to make sure that startup founders are not creating bloated marketing systems or even across their entire operation, and that instead they're building strategies that are precision oriented, so that way they're not just building something that's scalable, they're building something that is survivable in a hostile market. In order to do that, I'm going to walk you through the 4 stages that every SaaS founder needs to master in order to unlock efficient and sequential growth. If you want to stop random acts of marketing success and start building a real compounding growth engine, this video is for you. To set the stage here, I really want to nail home that a marketing calendar is not equal to a marketing roadmap. So let's kill the biggest myth in SaaS marketing. Your roadmap is not a list of tasks, it is a strategic sequence. It is a treasure map to unlocking your market. Founders often confuse motion with progress, and that couldn't be more wrong. They'll end up filling their Asana board with blog deadlines, ad launches, and webinar themes, thinking that this is a roadmap, when in reality, none of these tasks are actually aligned with buyer psychology, market readiness, product maturity, and they just end up being noise in an already crowded market. The real difference here is that a calendar asks, what are we shipping next week? Whereas a roadmap will ask you, what are we enabling this quarter and why? So a real marketing roadmap does the following things. It aligns your go-to-market strategy with the company stage that you're in, more on that later. You don't just run a paid ad campaign at $5,000 a month thinking that, hey, I checked that box, we're now a functional company. You don't just spin up a podcast if your position isn't validating, otherwise you're just filling space on somebody else's channel. And your roadmap needs to respect your business maturity at the stage that you are actively in. If buyers don't yet know or trust your category, a roadmap also paces your team's bandwidth based on buyer readiness. So there's no point in building out a bottom of funnel conversion campaign if your sales team isn't fully staffed or fully trained on how to close, or the executive grade features that somebody that's in a buyer persona actually gives a shit about. Even worse, if those buyers aren't ready to close with you, or if they don't trust your company yet because you're still too early stage, you should be focusing more on thought leadership content than bottom of funnel content trying to close somebody. Go focus on the top of the funnel, like, hi, this is who we are, this is the problem that we solve. Then start building middle of funnel content to compare yourself to some competitors and start to build some kind of association. Roadmaps do a great job at syncing capacity with your actual timing in the market. Roadmaps are also prioritized by impact, not just activity. So you might want a YouTube channel to feel like a big baller, an event series, or a fully optimized SEO engine churning out content, but if your pipeline is leaking due to an unclear ICP or avatar, and you don't have that messaging lockdown, then none of that is going to compound in a meaningful way. You're just gathering names and traffic. None of it's going to convert. Roadmaps ruthlessly focus on unlocking revenue first. Then, after you have that money coming in, you can go ahead and start experimenting other channels. A real world example here is that one of the startups that we had been working with was going all out on content. They had 12 pillar pieces of content. So again, long form pieces of content like 6,000 words plus that would keep feeding in supportive blogs into it via internal backlinks or internal links. And then they also had 4 video series and a paid search campaign. All of this was going on simultaneously. And of course, all of it cost money. However, their product story wasn't really all that compelling. It wasn't converting. Their position was fuzzy and rather lazy. They just had a product, but they didn't have a story and they didn't have a clear value prop. So people were consuming their content, but people really didn't know what to do with it yet. The way that we fixed this was that we rebuilt their roadmap, starting with founder-led messaging by interviewing their founder and then using the insights to synthesize their story, why they started the company, and the problem they set out to solve across this series. So people started to feel connected to the actual founder, not like they were just some faceless CEO of a brand new tech unicorn. Only when we did that did we end up greenlighting the rest of the content machine to go ahead and reiterate those talking points. All of this ended up leading to a 40% higher activation rate of demos within 30 days. People were just waiting for a story to get behind, not a list of features in a blog. A tactical pivot here for founders is that you want to map the following 4 milestones before you start building assets. For one, you want to have your messaging be validated. Do people actually understand your value? How quickly does that happen? Does somebody get onto your site and within 30 seconds they say, okay, I know why I need this product? If they can't, then go ahead and fix your value prop and go ahead and fix your above the fold copy on your landing page. Number 2 is your ICP alignment. So are you speaking to the 10% of your users that actually want to buy and are most likely to convert? Not every single person that you can talk to are going to be able to use your tool. And I say this all the time, not every dollar is a good dollar. Too many startups end up selling to the wrong market, and then they get thrown off for years because they keep having to adapt their roadmap based on a customer that they don't even really care about, but they want to continue taking the money from them. Focus, even if it takes a little bit longer, a couple of months more, to refine and nail down your ICP. So that way you can actually sell to the people that you care about and you know that you can serve in the capacity that you want to, that you will be able to solve their problem in the way that they need. Third would be your funnel readiness. So do you have an email campaign? Do you have multi-step nurtures? Is your sales enablement material synced at each stage? Do your sales reps know when somebody gets on a call if this is a top of funnel client or prospect, or are they a bottom of funnel decision maker ready to hand over their bank information? Last would be channel market fit. So where are you spending your time and where you're posting? Is that audience actually paying attention to you? Are you posting something that could realistically be a white paper that's a lead magnet on your website or shared onto LinkedIn? Are you happening to post that same content on something like a YouTube where people aren't really going to consume it? All of these are prerequisites to you building out your content funnel, not suggestions. Take care of them first and then thrive. A key executive takeaway here is that content doesn't scale with growth. Sequence does. Moving a user from the top of the funnel smoothly to the bottom of the funnel is how you're going to build trust and authority. You can't just brute force your way into market leadership with raw volume. You win by stacking the right moves in the right order. It's just like software engineering or rev ops. You have to treat it with the same amount of care. If your roadmap isn't reflecting how your business actually grows, you need to scrap it and you need to start again. Startup marketing teams will fall into 4 primary phases of growth. If your marketing team can't answer the question, what stage of growth are we in and what's the next one after this? How do we prepare for that? Then you don't have a strategy, you just have a backlog of tasks where you're not really sure if this is going to graduate you to the next stage. If you follow this 4-phase model, then you're actually going to unlock stage-based sequencing rather than scattershot execution. Success is not accidental, it is intentional. Phase one here is about validating your offer and ensuring that you actually should be putting all of your eggs in this basket. The primary objective of this page is to find your early profitable message stack through messaging, channel, and audience. The primary activities that you want to be focusing on at this stage are getting a landing page MVP out that you can ruthlessly A/B test CTAs, button color, value props, or whatever else you need. It is a malleable page at this point. You want to have founder-led outbound. Start getting your name and your face out there as frequently as possible. It helps to have one explainer video or pitch deck that you can share either via a lead magnet so you can start collecting names, emails, company information, or you can just have an explainer video on your homepage that says, "Hi, I'm Morgan from Dipity Digital. I run a boutique marketing agency serving SaaS startups. This is what we can do." And just walk through what your solution is at a very high level. Again, this is top of funnel. People have no idea who you are. So just give them the gist and then give them a book consultation button, and you can go into more detail when you actually have them on a video call. You also want to be able to re-engage with anybody that has given you their name, whether or not you have a newsletter. Developed lead magnets, like if you want to share the pitch deck, and John Smith from insert enterprise company comes on, gives you their name, their work email, they find out that they're the CIO at some enterprise company. You want to have at least a 3 touch point email nurture list that will introduce your company, introduce some pain points and solutions, and then ping them one last time to try and get them to book a call with you. This cadence works incredibly well without overwhelming them, because let's face it, we've all gotten that one person in our inbox that 5 or 6 messages in, you're just like, I am never going to work with this person. So 3 is kind of the sweet spot. Last would be to get on live calls, fireside chats, and start building qualitative feedback loops. Start getting other users or industry experts' hands on your product and start getting feedback from them so you can continue to develop what the market actually needs based on their feedback. The primary goal here is to prove that somebody actually cares enough to click, book, and then buy. If you can do that 10 times, you can do that 100 times. If you can do that 100 times, you can go make tens of millions of dollars selling this at an enterprise scale. You can realistically satisfy all of this with a really small team. You want a founder, you want somebody that knows at least a little bit about marketing, maybe a contractor to support them. Anything beyond that is just pure waste. Again, there's no scale here. You just want to focus on signal. As a founder, I take care of all of this myself. As a rough time frame here, you should only be focusing on this validate stage between 4 to 6 weeks max. So a month to a month and a half, maybe give yourself 2 months at most. But if you hit that 2-month mark, realize that you're lagging. If it's taking longer, then you're overbuilding and you're not focused on the bigger picture. The market is going to tell you almost immediately whether or not they give a shit about the product that you're trying to put out there. The next phase is the build-oriented phase, where the primary objective is to build the first full funnel system and keep it lean, not bloated. You want to be focusing on your ICP and your persona validation, so making sure that you actually know who you're trying to speak to, they have responded positively to you, and now you know, okay, these are the 3 types of people and positions that we know we can sell to go ahead and make our first $100,000 or whatever your contract value is. You want to have a core nurture flow and really healthy CRM hygiene. So this goes back to what we were talking about before by having those 3 emails. Now you're building upon that. You're starting to send different email nurtures to different personas based on their position, the size of their company, what their pain point is, depending on what kind of content they have read on your website. So if there's one specific pain point that they're coming onto your blog to solve, okay, build out an email nurture for that use case and start teaching them through their email. This starts to open up a channel for communication. You want to have at least 1 lead magnet. So this is ideally a utility asset, something like an ROI calculator, a cheat sheet, or a free diagnostic to let them know, like, hey, if you answer this questionnaire, we can actually let you know the gaps in your business and how our product can go ahead and alleviate that pain. And then, of course, having something like an ROI calculator will start to validate your price and position you as an easy decision. The more that you can say, okay, if you spend X amount of dollars with us, you're going to be guaranteed to get Y based on your customer profile that this questionnaire or survey or whatever answered, the easier the sale is going to be once they get onto a call with your rep. You want to have at minimum 3 SEO landing pages and blog pillars. Again, blog pillars are those long form pages that you're feeding all sorts of smaller blogs to via internal links, and then making sure that you have 3 landing, your homepage, your about us, and then maybe your primary offer. And then make sure that the back end of that is actually, the metadata is there. You have alt tags, you have descriptions, you have images that have all of the metadata as well. And make sure that you're presenting well on Google. Having something like a retargeting campaign or remarketing setup is key. So anybody that you have spoken with, even if they didn't move past the demo stage, or anybody that you sent an email to or they downloaded a PDF, start opening up communication channels with them pretty frequently through email nurtures. The last and perhaps biggest one to help you seem like you're actually playing with the big boys is to have product-led onboarding and lifecycle email triggers. So that way customers feel like they're actually being handheld through the entire onboarding process and that nobody really stagnates out, at least within the first 90 days. So you can use tools like AppQues or Pendo to create product-led onboarding. When a user signs in, if it's a free trial or if they already paid, they'll start getting pop-ups that will direct them to different areas of your platform and teach them how to use it. Not only does this alleviate the stress on your support team, but it gets the user to the quickest route of unlocking wins and value on their platform, so it can end up being sticky and they can incorporate it into their day-to-day. Similar with lifecycle email triggers. So, sending out frequent reminders for a customer that has been around for a month or 3 months, saying, hey, people at your stage typically have gotten down the basics. Now go ahead and look at these expert features. Did you know that you could dig a little bit deeper? To go ahead and create product evangelists. They want to feel like you care, that they are actually on your platform and not that you just disappeared after you got their money. Some assets that work really well in this phase specifically are a state of a category white paper. So this can be a lead magnet. You'll go ahead and make its own individual landing page. You'll put a form fill that will ask for, demographic information or firmographic information. And then that only just helps with your persona building and, your segmentation to know who cares about what. ROI calculators, of course, price breakdown pages, and use case deep dives with your ICP in mind. So you can build hypothetical deep dives of this is how insert customer profile would be using our product in an ideal state. If you are lucky enough to have any type of UGC or customers at this point, start delivering case studies. You can do this on a bootstrap budget. It doesn't take a lot as a founder to just go ahead and learn how to build a page or edit a page on your website. WordPress is incredibly easy, especially if you're using Elementor, but typically the team here would just be one content owner, a product marketer, and maybe somebody technical in RevOps, so you can start building your ICP and your persona to know, okay, when somebody comes onto our blog, how do they participate with the website moving forward? Are they spending 3 or 4 pages that they're filtering around? Do we have super users? Like right now, one of my clients, people are coming on to a blog, which is our primary traffic channel, and then they're spending 9 pages. You can see them go through their session and go onto 3 or 4 blogs, and then they go onto our pillar pages, and then they go onto our product pages, whereas like the industry average is 2 to 3. The time frame for this build stage is about 60 to 90 days, so effectively a quarter. Right now, you're just laying the foundation for the next stage of growth. And this is really where you're going to start seeing a major uptick in traffic and buyer intent. Phase 3 here is the prove it stage. So the primary objective is to move away from experimentation and move into optimization. You need to turn early wins into a predictable flow. That way you can turn the lever up, 10 times, 100 times and start treating revenue acquisition like it's a faucet or a tap. Some of the key activities here are around building out and optimizing your funnels and multi-touch attribution, and starting to pilot accounts-based marketing or ABM campaigns. Really just focus on a small cohort here of 3 to 5 accounts per vertical. Start syndicating content through partnerships with other larger reputable companies like a Gartner or a Forrester, or start getting backlinks on something like a Forbes. Start building your middle of the funnel content. So these are things that will have titles like versus pages, HubSpot versus Salesforce, for instance. You'll have ROI stories from successful customers, and then you'll have integration guides to make sure that the technical audience doesn't have to go through hours of phone calls with support or dig through dozens of knowledge base articles just to be able to get their team up and running. Make it as easy as possible for a team to sign on and then achieve value within hours. One of my favorites always is to build out a referral system and a waitlist engine. Be very clear about what is on your roadmap and what you are building towards. You can be clear but flexible based on customer feedback. People want to be excited and they want to be invested in your growth as equally as they want to grow their own business. Especially if you're a startup, there is a lot of cult of personality and hype around being a startup founder. You are the face. You're kind of like a celebrity. People will follow you religiously. So building out a transparent roadmap is key here, because of course, people are going to come on and they're going to give their 2 cents. And while one small opinion might not hold a lot of weight, if you find that out of the 100,000 people that are commenting on your stuff, 90,000 of them are like, hey, we're actually not looking forward to what's launching in November. We don't really need this product. Don't waste your development team's time building that product. Go build something else. Referral systems also start building a network effect. So people that are excited about your product are going to share it with other people on their team, their friends. You can even reward them, have a referral leaderboard, gamify the process whenever possible, because people are incredibly competitive. Even if the end result doesn't necessarily serve them, they just want to see their name up on the board. Similarly, if you do want to reward, people in your network and your evangelists, then, you can build something similar to a referral system, which would be an affiliate network system, so people can actually make some dinero after they, successfully refer somebody. It could be, 10% of the contract value. Most companies won't do residual affiliate networks. Last would be to make sure that your sales enablement packs are crisp. You have email sequences, you have one pages, you have case decks, you have talk tracks. So that way, anytime a sales rep gets onto a call, no matter what stage in the funnel that prospect is, they can speak to their particular pain points in an incredibly articulate manner, and they're ready for any of the bajillion questions that can come up because they've heard it before and your marketing team has done the research. In terms of how you can support this, pretty much everybody that you have been working with, in phase 1 and phase 2 can transition into this phase. You just really need a core team with really defined swim lanes. So add channel specialists only as needed. Think fractional experts are greater than full-time generalists. You don't need somebody at this stage for 8 hours a day. You've already built the system. Now you're just tweaking and optimizing it to make sure, okay, I pull this lever here, I pull this dial here, 10% content coming out onto this channel. Okay, that's working, cool. You don't necessarily have to have any full-time help at this point. And that's what a lot of startups will get stuck on, where in the proof stage, they start acquiring headcount and they bloat their team, but nothing has been validated yet. So then, of course, if it fails, then, hey, they end up laying off all of these new hires. Some of the key metrics that you want to track in this phase are the CAC payback, so customer acquisition cost payback, your activation rate, your demo to close rate, and your NRR trends. Typically, you're going to be optimizing this quarterly, making sure that everything is light, measurable, and iterative. And this is probably the phase that you're going to be in for the longest. So quarterly, it might take multiple quarters. There is no set timeline. The fourth and final phase here is the scale phase. And the primary objective is to pour fuel on what is already working and proven. Your key activities here are going to be around budgeted demand gen, so starting to run Meta, Google, LinkedIn ads, and partnering with industry publishers as well. You want to start building influencer partnerships or community-based forums, so that way people can, again, ask for support, meet other super users, and start building some network effect. You will want to partner or have affiliate co-marketing, which touches base on the referrals. It is just a more evolved version since you're actually offering money for those referrals now. And then you want to have the YouTube and podcast asset libraries starting to grow out. Now, they don't have to be conversations like this. You can just have product demo walkthroughs. You can have new feature releases, hype reels or sizzle reels, things that are just showing what you're building, why. A quarterly roadmap update could be incredibly useful. Again, transparency is key here, and the majority of this should be founder-led as well. Last would be to actually have campaign cadences, so full end-to-end campaigns that are self-contained. Typically, these will last around like 6 weeks or so, and they come in pulses. So it's not just, hey, we are generally advertising now. Now you're actually telling stories across multiple weeks. The assets that you want to be focusing on at this stage are live and recorded webinars, things like fireside chat, starting to bring in your evangelists and your super users and giving them a stage to speak with your audience. That adds an incredible amount of credibility to you that you have folk that are so eager to talk about and use your product that they'll take time out of their day and hop on a webinar. You want to start having short form thought leadership clips. So start posting on Instagram Reels or LinkedIn and, just have your founder come on and talk to a camera for 45 seconds, a minute and a half, and be like, this is what we built this week. This is what's on our roadmap. This is what we're excited about. Hey, let me show you how to unlock value with this new feature. You want to have comparison tables with value metrics showing how you compare to your competitors, where the feature parity is. And it's okay to be honest if you're missing some features. People trust honesty. People don't need to see that you check every single box, and that will just end up feeling like you're sort of gaming the system. Remember, withholding the truth is still kind of lying. So it's okay to talk openly about your shortcomings with the caveat that, hey, this is actually when we plan to build it, if you do. And if you don't, then hey, we're just not that kind of platform. That's okay too. Last would be long form gated content and resources for lead scoring. So this is when you take that one lead magnet that you have, and now you have several or dozens of lead magnets that are talking to different ICPs, different personas, people in different stages of their buyer's journey, that you'll have a landing page, then you'll have the lead magnet, you'll have a sign up form for it, and then you'll either send them that document, typically a PDF, over email, or they'll just be able to download it immediately after they click submit on their information. The team here is now starting to be more of a full stack go-to-market team with that RevOps integration. So now is the time that you would debate hiring internal help. Now that you've actually had a proven system and it's starting to scale, and you can see like, hey, as long as the machine keeps working, we can support these folk. What I would recommend doing early on is working with an agency first to give yourself that little bit of leeway. So that way it's like, okay, I didn't go ahead and hit the scale stage and then hire 20 new reps and then we hit a snafu or the market changed or whatever. Like, it's going to be a lot more painful when you have to lay those people off than it would be if you went with a marketing agency and then it's like, okay, yeah, cool, we just can't renew our contract next quarter. The people that you would need on this team would be something like a growth lead, a content strategist, a paid and SEO specialist, a RevOps manager, of course, as mentioned, and then somebody that can design either video or graphics. Typically, you won't really need a full-time person to do this in-house. You can just go on Fiverr, you can generate with Midjourney or Google Image Effects, or just have somebody on retainer. A couple of things to note that are incredibly important at this stage to watch out for, common mistakes, is that you want to avoid pouring your entire budget out during the scale phase because you're overly excited, especially if funnel friction still exists. You also don't want to optimize for traffic if downstream conversion is broken. You can go ahead and unlock 100,000 visitors a month, but if your sales team isn't equipped to actually convert them, then those people are just wasted impressions that might not come back. The time frame for this is ongoing. As always, you would love to stay in scale phase as long as possible, but don't be scared if you find those friction points to go back into a build phase. Once you get the first two phases right, then you'll effectively be teetering between build and scale. The key takeaway here is that each stage has its own tempo, it has its own team, and it has its own set of tools. If you confuse them or conflate them at any point, you're going to end up stalling growth. So you need to sequence them accordingly, so that way one waterfall can go into the next and you end up unlocking compound growth. The trap that most founders fall into is that they try to scale in the build phase, or they try to run SEO campaigns in the validate phase, or they try and hire a CMO before they've even unlocked their primary messaging. It's not strategy that they're following in that case, it's just expensive improvisation, and that kills companies. Your roadmap should make it absolutely impossible for your team to do the wrong thing at the wrong time. That's the power of a stage-based marketing approach. Even an intern or a new director at any stage can come in and say, okay, we know what phase we're in, we know what we need to do next. These are the types of things that we need to be delivering, not just, oh my God, let me go try and find some gaps and fill those. Your roadmap enables you to operate with surgical clarity. And here's the truth that most founders never get told. It's not your roadmap that's wrong in most cases, it's that your team doesn't know how to operate your roadmap. So it ends up looking messy, convoluted, and again, like a checklist. Marketing isn't failing because of the wrong tactics, it's failing because of internal noise. Too many requests, too many channels, and not a clear system of saying, hey, sales, not now. We actually need to focus on these other things to serve you in a way that you're actually asking. The problem is that most of you are running on tasks and not priorities. If your weekly startup is just a list of deliverables and what you did last week, like, hey, there was a blog due, we're prepping for a webinar, the lead list has been updated, then you're not really running marketing, you're just babysitting a to-do list. When everything is a priority, absolutely nothing is a priority and nothing is strategic. You're just coasting and putting out fires. The most effective founders run marketing like a product. They are stage-driven. They're backlogged by growth impacts. They're a blocker aware, and they synchronize every action across the entire go-to-market function. A clear fix here is to use quarterly roadmap checkpoints, so QRCs. Quarterly check-ins aren't really just measuring campaign volume, they're about strategic stage advancement. So you gotta ask 3 questions, that's 4 fingers, 3 questions every 90 days, so every quarter, to get this right. What growth stage are we in? Again, is that validate, build, prove, or scale? What's blocking us from advancing to the next stage? And then go ruthlessly attack that. And what assets or systems unlock that stage of transition? Tie every single roadmap objective back to these blockers. If it doesn't clear a bottleneck, then it doesn't go on the roadmap. All of that nice to have stuff and fun campaigns that you want to run can happen down the road, in addition to your scaling campaigns. Another key part to look out for that will make this run so much more smoothly is cross-functional stage alignment. The real reason why marketing feels less reactive is because sales, product, and growth are all operating on different assumptions about where the company is and where the company is going. More often than not, you end up seeing these departments in silos that aren't really communicating with one another in a meaningful way. While you're launching SEO as a marketing team, your sales team is chasing down government contracts while your product team is building what they believe is an enterprise solution, and no one is really aligned with the same ICP. All of these people can be top of class professionals, don't get me wrong. I've been in this situation where every team of the company that I was in as a product marketing manager was absolutely kick-ass and did their job perfectly. However, they were all moving in different directions. My job was to get them all in the same narrative and make sure that we were, as a company, were pushing forward in one concerted effort in one direction. Now, it will be your job as a founder, before you get a product marketing manager, to herd your teams in a similar way. This problem is really fixed on any all-team meeting where you as a founder can just ask, who are we and who are we building for? Show your stage, show your blockers, again, be transparent with your full company, and show what each team owns. It is incredibly important to be transparent for the sake of accountability. So people know who is succeeding and who is failing, and just because somebody is failing does not mean that they are bad for your team. It just means that they need additional support. I would say that this slide should be on every all teams meeting with 0 exceptions. And the next thing to look out for is to prioritize your tasks based on your blockers and be ruthless about this. You don't need to do extra things or extra experimentations if you have a blocker that has a clear playbook on how to remedy. Most things have already been figured out. Your job isn't to be new, profound, and innovative. Your job is to go get the job done. We already know how. Here's how we do it at Dipity with every client. We use the block framework. This helps us triage priorities effectively. So B would be buyer friction. Are they confused or unconvinced? If so, then there's a messaging problem that we need to go solve. L would be lead quality. Are we driving traffic that won't convert? Are we hitting users in the right stage of the funnel that we can then turn into MQLs and then deliver them to our sales team to develop into SQLs? O would be operations drag. Are we wasting hours repeating tasks that can be automated with AI? If so, go automate them, move on. C would be content gaps. So is there a resource missing at a particular deal stage? So is there friction suddenly on the bottom of a funnel where a decision maker just can't pull the trigger, and we realize that we actually don't have pricing comparison sheets looking at our competitors' pricing and our competitors' feature list? Building something like that can go ahead and give them the green light to make a buying decision. Last would be K, so KPI, blind spots. Are we making decisions without clear, verifiable data? Every single roadmap task must clear at least one of these decision points. If it doesn't, then it's just a distraction. And the more decision points that it can touch, the better. Everybody often thinks that marketing is all running ads and doing, video and all of this, but it is also marketing's job to get internal buy-in. Strategy is all about sequencing, and operations is all about focus. Your roadmap isn't just a visibility tool to show what we're building and when. It is a guardrail that says this is the correct path and trajectory for our company, given the situation we're in and the market that we're selling into. When you build a marketing operating model around stage-based progress and blocker elimination, you remove like 90% of the internal churn that slows startups down, because there is less confusion and there is more concision and a coherent effort in the same direction. You don't need more ideas, you need more clarity. If you can give your employees that, then your execution will compound greatly and you'll feel like a pro league team rather than a bunch of college kids running around trying to play adult. The truth is that you don't need more content for the sake of it. You don't need more SaaS tools. You don't need more tactics. You need clarity. A strategic roadmap gives you visibility, sequence, and control over your outputs. If you liked this video, please go ahead and ring that subscribe bell, like, and comment. I will try and answer any questions below. And as always, there will be a deeper dive blog. Again, we have hundreds of free pieces of content on our blog that will walk you through in much more detail than I went through here. That is all for me. As always, there will be a couple of links here to other videos, and I'll give you a moment to pick which one you like. Which one's your favorite? Is it A or B? Door number 1 or door number 2? I wonder which one you'll pick. I'll see you in the analytics later. Yeah. All right, cool. Adios.